hello, and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires we call the internets is Joe Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
You know, Corey, I've been talking nonstop about the Midwest Comic Book Association's MSP ComiCon 2016, May 14th and 15th, at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds in the beloved and extremely old grandstand. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday. And, of course, if you go to www.mcbacomiccons.com, you can get advance tickets now, which will let you go inside to see over 250 guest creators, huge variety of comics and collectibles, dealers of all sorts, free kids activities, free game demos, costume contest prize, grab bags for the first 500 Saturday, 250 Sunday. The Troll Lords Creative Team 30th Anniversary for only $14 per person. And, of course, you get $1 off with a food shelf donation. If you're 9 or under, physically, you get in free. I am so tired of talking about it, I brought in one of the experts here.
Oh, let's not go overboard.
One of the triumphant three, the man, the myth, the hat.
Yeah, that's me.
Mike Frigon. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing fine. We are gearing up. We've got a week to go. Bring it on.
And this podcast will drop a mere... Hang on, let me do the math. Oh, nobody told me there was going to be math. 6 days before the start of the con.
A mere 6 days. Oh, and by the way, you should also mention, because I ran into this a little bit at the at last year's show, that the admission is good for both days.
Both days? How do you pull that off?
We're not in it for the money.
No,
what? I know. We're a dying breed.
We are never going to hear that
in Minnesota that just aren't looking to cash in on every single buck we can get our grubby little hands on.
Never hear the Midwest Comic Book Association is $4.3 million in debt.
No,
it just
that's
never happen.
That's right.
That's good. That makes me feel better.
By the way, Joe, that figure is 5.3. 5.3 million.
No.
Our competition has lost $5.3 million so far this year.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
it's a beautiful thing. Do not take us on.
They're already. It seems that they're already working on it.
Screw them. They're in the
WW Minneapolis and then Des Moines. Well, they sure seem to have it out for us.
Well, it's good for them because we crushed them like bugs.
I think they did it themselves. Like because first of all, they run their con on Free Comic Book Day. Corey and I went to 2 stores on Free Comic Book Day, and both were packed. If you even try to attempt to get near the source on Free Comic Book Day, those boys know how to party. I'm telling you. You
had a walk and you had a bit of a wait, but it was worth it.
Oh, every minute. I know. I think I got to check with my daughters. I don't know if they braved the source or even their satellite store, Uncle Sven's. Has a pretty big lineup. Just waiting.
We went there. My girlfriend and I went there, and actually it was pretty good by the time we got there. We got there mid-afternoon, and we could walk right in, and they still had plenty of comics, and they had snacks and guest creators doing sketches and drawings and selling stuff, and there was plenty of room, but there was plenty of stuff to be had, and there's a lot of excitement.
Outstanding. But that's not what we dragged Mike away from his Mother's Day celebration for. And thank you for joining us on Mother's Day.
That's okay. My mom will understand.
We wanted to hear some scuttlebutt. Like I said, we're 6 days away from con. We want to hear the scoop, the nitty gritty, the details. What's going on with this here? And forgive us if we call it SpringCon because we're a couple old guys here.
I know.
By the way, why don't we start at the beginning?
Ooh, it's a very good place to start.
There's a lot of it.
When you read, you begin with ABC.
So, Mike,
yes.
Tell us about your first time at Spring or Fall Con.
Oh, boy. I think, let me see. Now, this was before I was actually volunteering to help out with the MCBA. I had just moved down here from Duluth, where I grew up, after getting my first job out of college, and I'd heard there was a comic show at the beloved Thunderbird Hotel.
May she rest in peace.
May she rest in peace. Hopefully, maybe they can save part of it. But I went and had a great time. We were still in one of the ballrooms upstairs. Eventually, we expanded to both ballrooms and all the meeting rooms upstairs and basically took over the whole second floor. But went and had a good time, bought some stuff, and enjoyed myself. And kind of put it on my calendar for the following year and a few more years after that. And not too long, well, I would say I moved down here about 1993. And in 1998, our fearless leader, who is unfortunately no longer with us, Nick Post, had taken over the reins of the MCBA because he was full of some constructive criticism that the people running it finally turned to him and said, "You think you're so smart, you do it." And he went, "Fine." And then he thought, "Oh no, what have I gotten myself into?"
Well, it was two parts of that. I was the whipping boy before him.
Okay.
And I was the one who had to deal with the dealers and all of this stuff. And they gave me a title to pay for that. And in '96, I was so tired of dealers and the chaos and everything. And I had two jobs. I was raising a son on my own. And I still remember the straw that broke the camel's back. And I've talked about it on the show. Because we didn't have enough volunteers and everybody wanted to do the fun stuff, I was at the front table for the rush at the beginning. Mm-hmm. We're 5 minutes from opening doors, and here comes a dealer who's setting up right near the door, bringing his stuff in finally to set up, and he's trying to get through the people. Being a complete jackass about doing it, complaining that they won't get out of his way and that nobody at the con is helping him. And once he gets all his stuff in, and we're rushing people in, and when the line dies down, he comes out and yells at me for 10 straight minutes about how horrible this was and how we should have planned for this, and we didn't tell him, and at the end of the convention, I don't even think I went to the after party on Saturday, and at the end of the convention, I just did a mic drop. I'm out of here. I'm done.
And you know how the retailers finally stopped complaining about that and things like that? Was when Pat McDonough took charge of the dealers, and as soon as the dealer complained, "Oh, I'm sorry, let me write you a refund.
I'll write you a check
to someone else." Yeah. Oh, well, it's not that bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Really, no, it's fine. No. Let me write you a check, and you can go.
About the con, the dealers, for the most part, make some serious bucks at this. Just ask Gruber. Sure. He's been having his 15th last sale ever.
Going out of business sale.
Yeah. I mean, he keeps coming back for more. He doesn't do the eBays. He doesn't have anything else. He just comes to the con and does it.
There you go.
He's a madman.
He is. It's all true. So anyway, and I've told this story before too, but I used to hang out at the Source quite a bit because I had a day job off of Pryor and University Avenue in St. Paul. So on my lunch hour, I'd go over to the Source and page for the comics and buy some stuff and touch base with everyone, say hello and so forth. So Nick came up to me one day, and I knew him just as a dealer from the show, and then I found out that he was a part owner of the Source. So we would chat when I would go over there on my lunch hour, and he came up to me one day and he said, "Listen." For those of you that know, that's pretty spot on. Listen. He goes, "Hey, I'm in charge of this comic convention now." He goes, "It's driving me crazy." He goes, "You used to work at a convention center, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah, all through high school and college. I worked 10 years at the Duluth Arena. Now it's called the Deck, Duluth Entertainment Convention Center." And he said, you got to help me. Yeah, I need you to volunteer. You got to help me. And I said, "Well, there's a lot of guys out there that know comics more than me." He goes, "I'm up to my ears in comics, guys. I need someone that knows how conventions are run." And I said, "Okay, well," I said, "I don't want to be completely mercenary about this, but what's in it for me?" And he went, Nothing. Not a thing. We'll feed you. That's all we're going to do. That's all we ever do. None of us make a thing off of this." And I said, well, you drive a hard bargain. Okay. Heck of a sales pitch you got there. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give it a shot for a year and then we'll see. And that was 98. And when Nick was the consummate sales guy. When he knew he had you, he knew he had you. And he had me. That first year we took John Romita Jr. and his wife and kid out to dinner and just had a blast. And went bowling afterward when we were still at the T-Bird and not breaking down the show Sunday night. We could still do that. And Nick said to me, what are you doing after the show on Sunday? And I said, probably going home to collapse. And he said, no. You got to come with us. We take everybody bowling. And I went,
bowling.
What? What? Oh yeah, we go to Airport Bowl in Bloomington. We take everybody bowling. It's just a hoot. It's crazy. Okay, I'll go bowling. And you could ask our fellow volunteer Big Mike Edmondson and Paul Fricke, local MCAD professor and Troll Lords alumni and outstanding artistic talent. You could ask him one time when Paul and myself and Big Mike we stood toe to toe for one bowling game. I think what was it? I think Big Mike and I tied at like a 237 or 238 or something like that, but Paul was right there too. It came down to the last frame, and we were all just knocking him down.
Oh, those bowling games. There were so many weird little fun traditions that still continue. And one of the things that Nick did is he always would throw something new into the mix every year. Yep. And maybe it worked and maybe it didn't. Like one year we had madrigal singers.
Morris dancers.
Yeah.
We had Morris dancers. We had live chess, Renaissance chess.
We've had all sorts of fun stuff, and one of the things that has happened also is that, you're around for 27, 28 years, people get to know a place. That Saturday morning rush is insane.
Yeah. We're taking a few steps to hopefully preclude that a little bit. The plan, and we gave it a bit of a test last fall, and I think a lot of people that show up early or show up in the first 2 hours will be very glad to hear this. Last fall, I went out and I just pre-sold the line from about 8 o'clock on, so that when we opened the doors at 10, I had about 98% of the line pre-sold, wristbands on, ready to go. So we had their food donations, we took care of that. And we literally opened the doors, and 20 minutes, everybody was inside. Everybody just marched on in until we got to the very tail end of the line, and worked like a charm. And that certainly is the plan again for this time around. I'm just going to be out there, and we'll pre-sell the line, and it'll make it a lot easier for everybody to get in.
And on the plus side, the weather forecast for Con is showing sunny, highs in the 60s, lows in the 40s. Not going to be a sweat con, not going to be a freeze con, not going to be a rain con.
That would be nice.
No tornadoes this year.
We will mention, as you said, the historic, to say that, I was going to say venerable.
That's nice too.
Bandstand stays cool. And it will be cool. Even if it's 60 outside, it'll probably still be 50 indoors until about 3 p.m. when we get all that throngs of people heating the place up. So don't be surprised. Oh, don't be surprised if you get in there and you're going to need a coat for a while, but by mid-afternoon you'll need to take it off.
The fanboy BTUs, and thankfully that's one nice thing about the grandstand is we can open some doors and get a lot of airflow coming through if we need to. So while it's not climate controlled per se, we can do some makeshift kind of stuff up to a point.
And if we have tornadoes, you're perfectly safe. Compared to 1 year.
100-year-old building, it's seen.
I ain't going anywhere.
It's pretty much a pretty good bomb shelter. There's certainly not a lot of windows, so and we got 2 more floors on top of us on the main floor. So yeah, it's kind of a bomb shelter. Yep.
One of the traditions that we started at the very beginning that stays to this time, and every interview we've done with the creator, they always mention one thing. Tables are free.
Yep. That's all true.
And it amazes me at this point in the business that people are like, you give away tables to creators for free? Now, the reason we did it at the beginning is the creators are what bring the people in the door.
Well, and I'll throw this at you as well. Nick used to tell me when I was kind of being a guest wrangler and inviting creators and so forth, I said, I went down the list of stuff that we do for creators, and I said, and I tell them that we're giving them table space. And Nick literally turned to me and he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because other shows don't do that." And he said, "Oh." He said, "You don't have to tell them that." I said, "You're damn right I'm going to tell them that because no one else does it."
And I can't believe what a big selling point it is, especially for the indie folk who, there are other conventions that are going on. Even, this one convention in Peoria, Illinois, where I'm from, the armpit of the Midwest. They're charging creators for tables. It's like, dude, you're lucky anybody shows up. Because it's Peoria.
Putting the P in Peoria. Okay, yeah, there you go.
But I think it's one of the things that has helped the convention grow to what it is now, where we're probably, I think we have more indie creators than any convention except maybe San Diego. We have more indie creators than the SPX.
I would say it's a kind of a combination of a lot of things. It's not only that. I would say there's also a preponderance of creators in the Twin Cities and the surrounding area. I don't know about Peoria, but I can say that around here we've got a lot of really good independent talent that just happens to be around here in this region. Minneapolis College of Arts and Design kind of formalized it a little bit with their comic arts program. Now the University of Wisconsin at Stout has their comic arts program as well. And I don't think that the colleges are doing that by accident. They're responding to, the arts community that's already there. I think also is, this is what we get from a lot of special guests, and this goes back to, the early days of the convention. And that is that because we're all volunteers, because none of us are getting paid to do this, there is a sense of just fun that pervades the show. You can't hide that, and you don't fake it well. If it ain't fun, we ain't doing it. So because there's kind of that energy and that sense of, we're not in it for the bucks, let's just get together and have a good time. I think that takes a lot of stress off, and I think it translates to the creators, and I think they respond to that.
Another thing that comes out of that is this convention, since the beginning, has been charity-focused.
Absolutely.
And it continues. We've added a new charity, but there's always charity stuff going on. Big Mike, the Human Planet, brought in the Joe probably knows more about it, the Greyhounds, the Greyhound Rescue.
Greyhounds of America.
You've brought in a new group. Why don't you tell us a little about the new group you brought in, and how did they get brought into the convention?
Well, it's interesting. I just was conducting an interview, and someone had a question similar. They said, how do you select the charities that you support? And, a few of them we inherited, Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, and certainly the
You can blame me for that one, because I suggested that. I said, we might as well do a charity that could, knock on fake wood, never have to be used in the Twin Cities, but we know it's been used around the country and even Canada in places. It's a First Amendment group designed to help retailers and other people that may need to remind the authority about that pesky thing called the First Amendment, especially when you're being beat on. You can go to their website and get more history as to why they were set up. Needless to say, if it's me as comic retailer versus the city, the state, whomever, I will probably lose just because I don't have the funds.
Right.
Comic Book Legal Defense Fund will step in and help a comic book store if they're having troubles with something that falls under the purview of the First Amendment. Even
more so now that some members of the Supreme Court have equated money with free speech.
Yes.
And another thing to remember, the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund isn't just defending the First Amendment. They're defending comic books and comic book creators. Yep. There was a law in California that when creators got back their original art, well, that has a monetary worth, and there need to be taxes paid on that. Mm-hmm. They went into court to successfully argue that no, what it is, they're creating this, the company is buying a use of it, but the art itself, the physical art, is that of the creator, so it's not something that they're being given, it's because of the way the work for hire, and you're probably really confused now, which is why lawyers had to get involved.
There you are.
They've gotten involved in helping comic creators deal with tax issues and deal with legal issues. That's what they do.
Intellectual property rights.
That's right. And so there are all these things. We work with the Lupus Foundation because one of the people who was very involved in the convention had a loved one with lupus.
Yep, still does.
And that's how that charity came in.
And that's what I told this person who was interviewing. I said, essentially, when we feel that we have means to support another charity, very commonly what we do is we turn to our volunteers. And we say, who's had some experience firsthand with some charities that may need some help? And that's what we did with our latest charity, which is BACA, B-A-C-A, Bikers Against Child Abuse. So essentially, they are an organization. They were founded by a person who was a motorcycle enthusiast. He was a biker who was also a child psychologist. And basically what they do is for victims of child abuse, if there is a parent that has scared their children, either through abuse, mental, physical, whatever, they will their chapter will go out and they will park their bikes in front of the house of where that child is, and they will make sure that that child knows that that parent, estranged parent, is not going to be able to do anything harmful to them. Which provides a fundamental base for, everything from starting to heal to learning to trust adults again. They will kind of make them members of their group, which helps in building family relations again. And there are chapters all over the United States. And we had one of our volunteers that knew of them, and another volunteer that actually had firsthand experience with them. So, we are very proud to be supporting BACA, and we're glad that they're going to be at the show.
Now, we've talked, because we're so involved in the show and because a lot of the people involved are our friends, when Nick passed away, we talked about that on both a personal level, and we've talked about it on kind of a sort of a professional level, and also to let listeners know that you need to kind of take care of things. What was it like when Nick passed and you and the rest of the three-headed horse of doom had to sort of untangle everything?
Yeah.
Was there anything that really is still kind of tangled up? Anything that surprised you? Anything where you just kind of beat your head against the wall?
I mean, besides Nick passing away? Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Yes, it was.
It was, it's interesting. Now, here's, I guess, where I kind of look at things from a little different perspective than a lot of people do. See, in my capacity, I've throughout my professional life, I've been faced with kind of crisis situations to one degree or another. When I was working at the Duluth Arena, I was with guest services, which means I was the ushering and the ticket taking and the door guarding and all that sort of stuff. And I don't think necessarily a lot of people necessarily think that that's a real high stress occupation, but I'll tell you, when you're at a country music concert and you've got, about a dozen guys that have had a little bit too much to drink, and they're taking exception to something that somebody said, and you're standing there, you got to do something about it. When you're at a high school hockey game between two rival schools, and 60 of them want to beat each other up, and you're the one standing there, and the police officer says, I can't do anything until somebody throws a punch. And you say, yeah, by that time it's too late. And he says, yep, but if you go into the middle of it, I got your back. And I kind of, okay. So you wade into the middle of it, and you kind of forcibly diffuse the situation by saying, okay, everybody to the neutral corners, get out of here, you clown, you knucklehead.
Now, wait a minute. You're making it sound like this here Comic-Con's going to be a gang rumble here. You're getting people scared.
Let's not go too far. So I go from that to I go into insurance, everyone's favorite industry. You know, when you're going out to meet your customers, that you're again, it's a high stress situation. You're there to diffuse, and you're trying to. Then here's where I'm going with this. You're trying to get down to nuts and bolts. You have to kind of separate how you feel from we got to get something done. Similar sort of thing with my current job as a safety guy. When someone's in a car accident or there's an injury or something like this, I can't just stop functioning. I gotta do something about it. It's got to be okay. I can panic, grieve, or do whatever else later. Right now, we got to focus on what needs to get done to keep on going. And that's kind of where we were at when Nick suddenly passed away. It was, okay, what about the show? Because it was August 8th, and the FallCon show was right around the corner. So Nick had been kind of thinking about maybe taking a step back and having myself and Big Mike step up and maybe be more of a leadership role. So we were kind of looking at that even before Nick passed away. And then Kelly Wilhite volunteered to step up with us and kind of do it. So, you know, very quickly it was kind of, are we going to do, it just came down to, are we going to continue this or are we not? And we thought, well, geez, got a long history. We do a lot of good work, a lot of community-based work, a lot of creator-based work. So, okay, let's just knuckle down and let's have at it. Let's give it a shot and let's see if we can't pick up the pieces and make this happen. And one of the things that surprised us was that, unfortunately, Nick didn't leave a lot of passwords. So things like email. So things like our constant contact list where, you know, everybody's names and contact numbers and everything, you know, that's locked up. And there was a lot of kind of picking up the pieces just because, you know, Nick didn't leave those because obviously he wasn't planning on going anywhere. So, yeah, there was a bit of rebuilding and a bit of kind of cajoling Constant Contact, and here's the death certificate, and AOL said, no, we ain't going to do this. You're going to have to get a new email account. Okay, that's a bit of an inconvenience, but all right, we're going to have to do it. So there was a lot of kind of scrambling and picking up the pieces. The good part was that Nick had done probably about 3/4 of the heavy lifting before he passed away. He'd sent out all of the invitations to the creators. He'd sent out all the invitations to the dealers and the exhibitors. The venue was already rented. The food was already taken care of. So a lot of the heavy lifting was already done, thankfully, because it gave us an opportunity to kind of, like I say, get down to the nuts and bolts and say, how does this work? What do we need to do? What's already done? What's left to do? Okay, let's do it.
So then you guys had to decide if you wanted to keep doing it.
Yep.
And so you've got the first 2-day convention.
Yep.
And one of the things about Nick was he always kept everything very close to the vest.
Yeah.
And you guys are rebuilding.
That's very true.
You guys are rebuilding. What did you look at and say, this is what we want to change? Because we could walk in and we could see all the things that have stayed the same. Mm-hmm. But what did you go, okay, now that it's ours, what are we going to change? Yeah.
I think, you know, we had this exact conversation with another pair that were in on the ground floor of the show, and that was Dan Jurgens and Gordon Purcell. And a lot of creators had that exact same question. They said, what are you going to turn this into? And there was a bit of, you know, dubious, what are you doing? And the answer was that we really want to keep the spirit of it exactly the same. We want to keep it a comic book convention, old school, kind of a purity of focus, you might say. I think what we've done, And keep in mind that we're still relatively early in the stages here. This will be our let's see, FallCon, SpringCon, so this will be our fourth show doing this. We've just tried to kind of spruce up the professionalism a little bit, I would say. As far as the looks, we've gone with some temporary mobile walls to kind of not only facilitate ease in setting up the convention, but it gives it a nicer professional kind of a look to it. We've added advanced ticket sales through the website. We've added some merchandising sales. We've added credit cards. Nick never wanted to do credit card sales for admission, and we tried it last fall, and it was outstanding. Really, convenience for the guests. Again, pre-selling the line as much as we could. We added in the free kids activities, and that was just huge. So we're going to do that again. Thankfully, the creators are stepping up, and we've got some creators that are volunteering to lead those activities, and we supply the materials, they supply the expertise, the kids supply the fun. It'll be great. So I think, you're going to notice if you go to the spring show this time, you're going to see some monitors that are going to be around. And that's because of things like the panel room. The panel room, John Kentner has done an excellent job running that panel room. But I think a lot of people just don't know what's back there because, again, we're creating a room. And unless you happen to have X-ray vision, you don't know what's going on back there unless you take a look.
You gotta walk in front of the restrooms to get to it.
How much more? Location. What does it take? We got foot traffic. Jeez, just go in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually put on the outside of one of the panel room walls a monitor, so people can see, hey, here's what's going on in here. Why don't you come in and check out some of the panels and some of the discussion because it's pretty cool. So we've added a few little technological advancements. And like I said, we're going to have gaming demonstrations. We're trying to involve some of the gaming community a little bit more just to say, hey, everybody's welcome. Come on, and people like games. Free demonstration of games. Why not? That sounds pretty cool. So we're keeping the spirit of it very, very much as it was. We're just adding a few tweaks to kind of maybe make it appeal to a bit more as far as family friendly with the kids, maybe some of the gaming folk, even more so with the comic community, and just make it more convenient for everyone to come and get in and have a good time.
Now, the list of guests is, as always, huge.
We're flying more people in this time than we've ever flown in before.
And I will say something. Mike and I have talked on and off throughout the year. We'd like to get this person. We'd like to get that person. And the sad thing is, the people that Mike and I grew up with that we really want to see come to cons are getting older, and they just don't want to travel. Despite a steak dinner, but despite being on top of the Mall of America, but still, it astonishes me every year when I look at the guests. It's like, I don't know if I'll have time to visit everybody I want to visit. And that doesn't even count stumbling across some small press guys that may have some outstanding projects.
Absolutely.
Joe, this is where you crowbar in the plug for Jen, because if she doesn't get her plug, we will hear about it, and it will not be pretty.
Well, I was just going to plug the fact that my daughters are thrilled like crazy that we're going to be still doing the charity booth, because now that you and I have stepped back and we're going to be doing the podcast, do you know Corey's going to podcast live during the entire Freaking Con? Did you hear that?
Fantastic. I
know. So if you want, stop by. There may be the mic just sitting there. And
there will be someone talking the entire convention.
You know me, I'm going to get gas.
Dead air. Yeah.
But I mean, the charity booth, the Greyhounds. There's just all sorts of things. Is there anything, Mike, this year that's new that you're personally really excited about?
I think,
or even if it's not new, I mean.
I've seen a couple of the pieces that are going to be at the charity art auction.
Uh-oh.
And
dish?
Huh?
Can you dish? Give us a sneak peek.
Well,
they used to always give us sneak peeks. We're the official podcast of this year, Con.
I would say Would you like to be the official podcast?
No.
Why, yes, we would, because we are a national treasure.
I used to be an...
No, Joe. Official is good.
I used to be an altar server. I think I can do blessings of that sort, so I'm doing the blessing right now, and there you go. How's that?
Yeah, we're now official.
There you are. You're official. Official. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's the least I can do. Let it never be said. I didn't do the least I could do. Let's see. I've seen a Neil Adams Batman head sketch.
Oh. I
saw a full-figure Batman Buzz sketch.
Ooh.
And
now we've got to get Buzz. And Joe, remind me, because you're the one who reminds me when I forget shit. We got to talk about Buzz, because Buzz has a great convention story this weekend.
I saw that.
Go ahead.
I saw that. Yes, it does seem like a good story.
I thought when we do the official pre-con podcast, that's when everybody gets buzzed.
Yeah.
Well, that's in a few days.
Oh, okay.
That's always a train wreck.
I can't wait.
I haven't seen you at the pre-con Onion Rain Friday night.
Save your vodka.
But I believe Liz Berube is going to give us a little something, and she does not do a lot of commissions or she doesn't do any convention other than ours.
And at this convention, she is publishing for this convention a coloring book.
Yeah, I might know a thing or two about that.
Oh.
So about a month ago, Liz called me up and said, I'd like a coloring book for the convention. And I went, What? What? Yeah, I think I want a coloring book. And I went, okay, all right, let's make this once again nuts and bolts, baby. It's nuts and bolts. So it was a lot of internet scrambling to find a coloring book publisher, printer. I happened to be going down to where Liz lives, so I picked up a bunch of her artwork, her originals. Some have never been published. Some have never seen the light of day. And we went through and we said, okay, here's the type of paper they have. Here's, what are we going to do? Here's how many pages we can have in this thing with this thickness of paper, because, of course, it's going to be really good paper stock. And came back and scanned it in and cleaned it up and shipped it off. And, man, it's going to be down to the wire. I ain't going to make any promises because we had to pay for a rush to get it into the printer, and it's going to be by the skin of the teeth, but we hope that she'll have a coloring book, yes.
So we've got some amazing art coming in.
Yep.
Any guesses who this is their first time?
Yeah, Brian Augustine for the Troll Lord's 30th anniversary. Jen Broomall, let me see, Joe Linsner and his wife, Christina Deek, is coming for the first time. Let me see, Ben Percy, this will be his first time. Sarah Richard, Wilfredo Torres, Rich Woodall and Craig Russo. Michael Walsh will be his first time. Plenty of first-timers, plenty of returning friends. Joe Benitez, it'll be his second time. Brent Peoples, J.K. Woodward, it'll be their second time. It'll be Jen Bartel's first time. Steve Lealoha, it'll be his second show. It'll be Trina Robbins' third show. Liz, it'll be Liz Berube's third show, I believe. So plenty of returning people and plenty of new faces. It'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun.
And for you as somebody who has to run things, what do you look forward to during the convention itself?
What do I look forward to the convention? Besides concluding it successfully?
And schmoozing and artwork.
For 6 months. Because it can be a little stressful. I look forward to just the whole thing. That's another thing that even from the earliest days of the show, I get interviewed now because I'm one of the lead volunteers, and they say, "Well, how did this start?" And it's about as straightforward as you can get. A bunch of comic fans got together and said, "Hey, let's have a convention." I mean, it doesn't get any more straightforward than that. Let's get a venue. Let's invite some people. Let's put the word out. Let's just do it. And it's kind of that same sense of family. That same sense. It goes beyond just being a community. It really is kind of a sense of family. After several years of volunteering with, essentially the same group of people, it's just fantastic to see him again. And especially now that Nick has kind of passed away, and Nick was a one-man band to a very, very large extent. We've needed some people. We've needed some help. We needed some people. We needed some of the volunteers to step up and help out. We needed some of the dealers to step up and help out. And everybody has. They've responded just fantastically. So that brings that sense of community even more to the forefront, because it's not like we just see these people twice a year to do a show. Now it's like everybody is much, much more involved. And it's becoming a much tighter group because of it. And I hate to say it's because of Nick's passing, but when Nick did everything, he just did everything. I'm not going to say that it was a good thing. I'm just saying it's probably one of the more positive things you can bring away from something that's horribly, horribly tragic. We're a much stronger group now because we've got more people involved. We've got more people doing things. We've got more people helping out. So as far as what I look forward to seeing the volunteers again. I look forward to seeing the visitors, the patrons, the people that are coming in the door. They appreciate the fact that we're keeping this going. And that's a lot of payback for a lot of work through the course of the years, to say that they realize that and they appreciate it. The creators and the dealers both, and the exhibitors, all three of them, when they show up, they are all smiles and happy, and they are glad to be here. And they say, this is the best show. This is the highlight of the year for us. And the dealers say, it's going to be one dealer a couple of years ago, I said, I hope you have a good show. And he said, if you can't make money at our show, he said, you don't deserve to be a comic dealer, because he said it's about as simple as you can have. You put your boxes on the table and the doors open and in come the people. It is just as straightforward as you can make it. And he said that the attitude of all the visitors and the patrons is fantastic. I've been running the charity art auction for several years, and I see plenty of regulars that I just really enjoy harassing slightly over the microphone. What can I tell you? Occasionally I like to try and have some people crush a 10-year-old girl's dreams. But hey, that's owning this, Joe Rubinstein Iron Man sketch, whatever. The cosplayers are having a good time at the costume contest. It's just the whole thing is loaded with positive energy. And
now, for somebody that's just coming for the first time, and there's always somebody, what advice do you want to give them?
It can be very, very overwhelming. That was some of the feedback we got from the last show. They said there's just so much. Where do we start? And the first thing I say is there's no wrong answers. You can't go wrong. Just start walking around and, hey, this is cool. Hey, this is neat. And give yourself the time. I said everybody does it. Even the seasoned comic veterans, they're going to do a lap, around up and down all the aisles to see what's new and who's got what and what's going on before they start getting into the nitty-gritty and getting really serious about it.
At the same time, there's only two things I can tell you. First of all, note which aisle something's at, because you may forget. And second, you snooze, you lose. So,
that's true.
I mean, even at the art auction or in the charity booth, we have people, where did this go? Well, it's sold. It's not like we hang on to things, People. I know we have a couple guys come up from Chicago every year, and they will we'll give them carte blanche on the charity table just to clear out stuff that's been sitting there more than a year, because they take it back to Chicago and sell it at their own charity booth.
Yeah.
And I almost want to tell these guys, just show up at the end of the show. But they get up because they know they get there first, they're going to get the great selection.
It's kind of a charity merchandise laundering scheme.
It could be. It might be we just have the same stuff and it goes from booth to booth.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that's going to be different with the charity table this year. We've got at least one thrift store, one charity thrift store that will be bringing big tubs of merchandise.
I brought some over myself out of my house. You can have it.
I won't say bringing. I got to go get it on Friday, but that's a different subject.
I've already dropped some stuff off for you already. So, yeah, I mean, it's what do I enjoy seeing? I enjoy seeing the whole thing. I enjoy seeing people having a good time. I enjoy the experience myself, and it just feeds, as I see people having a good time. That's why we're doing it. Again, it's all about having a good time. Nothing's changed.
We've all had a good time at the convention over the years, but there have been times
yeah,
when things have not gone well.
Yeah, this happens.
And because we don't want to sweep anything under the rug.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we all know there's no rug at the grandstand.
That's a fact.
You will not pay. It is solid concrete. So
there's a
definitely bring
we did get some anti-fatigue mats for some of us that have to stand there for hours.
Yeah, they'll be behind the charity booth and some other places. I'm sorry, what were you talking about, Corey?
So, Mike, tell us about a train wreck.
Train wreck? What kind of train wreck?
A dumpster fire, where things go horribly, horribly wrong.
Oh, boy. Let me see. I think my favorite one. This is my favorite one. And, I'm not going to mention the names of the people involved. But
it's probably me.
No, it wasn't. But it's one where we saved the day, but it was kind of a good takeaway lesson. So, again, we like to remain a comic-focused type of a show. But it turned out one year that a comic dealer was bringing in a movie actor as a special guest for their table. And again, we don't do movie, TV, wrestler type. It's not our thing. But they were bringing this person in, and okay, fine. That's your gig. You're bringing them in. Fine, no problem. It's okay. We did get a few guests that were concerned. You're not going down that road of pop culture, blah, blah, blah. And he said, nope, that's just their thing. Okay, fine. And
by the way, if you are curious as to who this is, you can go back and listen to old episodes of Crazy Comics, because we did cover this.
Did you?
And
I tried desperately to get her to buy a slap chop and a ShamWow, and she blew me off repeatedly.
Can't imagine why. So anyway, the crux of the thing was, as one of the guys that at the time I was kind of coordinating, I was helping to coordinate, get people from the airport to the hotel. So thinking ahead, I mentioned to Nick, I said, are these guys going to pick up their guests at the airport? And he went, well, sure they are. I was like, yeah, okay, I think I better just follow up with this one. So I walked over and I said, hey guys, I hear you're bringing in, can I say the name?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sarah Douglas. Sarah Douglas, famous for Superman 2, among other things. And she's a very nice person. And this had nothing to do with her. She was completely innocent of this. But I said to the dealer, I said, so are you guys going to pick her up? And they said, no. And I said, well, how do you expect her to get to the hotel? And they said, well, you guys are going to do it. And I said, no one's told us that. And the person in question said, well, Nick said that. I said, no, I don't think Nick said that. No, he said that. I said, no, he didn't say that. He said, you guys, it was your guest, your problem. So, there you go. And so then a few after I dragged Nick over and said, they said you ain't. He just looked at him and said, why are we having this conversation? And he walked away. I looked back at the dealer and I said, your volley.
Your volley.
So, I said, okay, would you like a little assistance with this? Yeah, that would be good. That'd be great. Okay, fine. So I said, what flight is she coming in? And they went, I said, who got her the tickets? We did. Did you write it down? Okay. What airline is she coming in on? What city is she flying out of? I think Los Angeles. Oh, that narrows it down. Beautiful. Thanks a lot. Happen to have a time? How about a rough time? Afternoon. Oh, good. This is getting better and better as we go along. So very, very slowly between myself and Big Mike and Eric Marshall, who is our airport guest wrangler, who we always leave at the airport, we managed to kind of narrow it down to what we thought was one airline and one particular flight. As it happened, it worked out. We guessed correctly. But, yeah, that was one where we had to do an awful lot of very quick legwork where the person bringing in the guest couldn't even tell us what time they were arriving. Let's see, nuts and bolts. John Ostrander forgot he was coming to the show last time he was coming. Missed his flight entirely. We had to get him another ticket. There's always these little kinds of hiccups that you just kind of have to, like I say, you just kind of shake your head and plow through it and say, here we go. I will say this, that thankfully, because of the other volunteers, Mike, Kelly, Gwen, Mike Etten, everybody, there's been a lot fewer hiccups, kerfuffles. Austin and Christy taking care of the check-ins for guests and creators. There's been a lot less, he said, she said, Nick said this would happen. Now, where is he? Oh, he's hiding. Oh, he's out for a smoke. He doesn't want to deal with you. Blah, 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 There's been a lot less of that. It's just the additional planning has really made things function a lot more smoothly, and thankfully, it's a lot of work. But come the time of the show, usually things go a lot more smoothly than kind of they have in the past. Not so many hiccups.
You know who doesn't hiccup?
Who doesn't hiccup?
These guys, our sponsors.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not, kids, this silliness has actual real sponsors. Our first sponsor is Graze.com. Graze gives you healthy snacks sent to your house. You can have them delivered weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and your first box is free if you use the code CORYS3R5B. Our second sponsor is Bombas. Bombas socks are some of the best socks in the world, and remember, for every pair you buy, they donate a pair to a homeless shelter or other worthy cause. Just go to bombas.gotocloud.org/SF30. That's right, those are our ads. Go check out our sponsors.
Now, normally,
we have sponsors.
We after the sponsors,
we have sponsors.
We have sponsors.
People that pay you to do this?
Damn right there is.
What am I doing wrong? Holy buckets. Okay.
We are a national treasure. And
does that mean
we're on the road to 250
for you? Is that what that means?
By the end of this week, episode 250 drops. We've been doing this 6.5 years.
I couldn't make it a full year. Of course, at that time, I was doing a podcast at about 1 a.m. and on a school night, on a work night.
and trying to put it out by 6 a.m.?
No, it was a couple of days longer after that. But
okay.
Podcasting at 1 to 2 gets you pretty goofy in the head, and then when you show up at work the next day, a couple hours later, it's, yeah. After a year, you're about ready to snap.
Yep. I'm about ready to snap pretty much every day.
Cool. I think that's pretty apparent.
And
I think most of you that know you,
I've been on pretty good behavior this one.
I think we just want to poke the bear a little bit, Lauren. We're always thinking, can we just push him off that lemming off the cliffs of insanity?
Don't worry. I'm sure by the next podcast I'll get Corey over the ledge.
Oh, don't worry. By the end of this week, we are dropping three.
Really?
3
okay.
Crazy comics and stories on the build-up to episode 250. Episode 250 is not only the pre-convention episode where Jin Wicked gets drunk, where Dan Moore brings in a puppet to hit on her, where Joe decides that he wants this thing. He doesn't just want a train wreck. He wants a massive explosion at the end of the train wreck.
All right.
This isn't just episode 250 where I get all sentimental.
What?
Oh, no, hell no.
Why would you do that?
And then, for 2 days of the con, go to YouTube, put in the name Corey Strode, and the entire, when those doors open, the show begins. And when the doors shut, the show ends, and I go back to my cave on Mars. Because I will have been around people all day.
It's a good thing you're in human resources. I hate people.
Damn right. No. I like people. I just don't want to be around them.
Well, there you are.
Normally, this is where we say, Joe, what's going on the eBays? But we know that Joe has kind of temporarily shut down the eBays.
Yes, gearing up for the show.
I am gearing. Yeah, I'm basically. This is the year or time of year where I go through my collection and decide what I'm going to donate to the aforementioned charity booth. As everything donated, which we mentioned but people forget, we don't keep a penny of it. It all goes to one of the 3 charities that we're working with.
Right.
So
this
it's
is
100% tax deductible according to your particular tax needs. Be you a comic retailer, a regular retailer, or a Joe Jabroni on the street, or Joe Jabroni in the basement filled with stuff in a vast accumulation of
looking
stock.
around.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I would say the same sort of, again, the original art charity auction, that's all going to Comic Legal Defense Fund and the Minnesota Lupus Foundation. And again, I'll be going around during the show asking the creators if they would like to donate something, and they're usually enormously generous. And if you are a fan of original artwork, that is the best deal you are going to find probably in the country, because the competition, as compared to something like eBay, is minuscule, and we have some great pieces to bid on. Absolutely.
So we've asked Joe, we've asked me, we'll ask you. Is there anything other than original art you're looking to buy at this here convention?
No, art is my Jones right now. Art's my Jones. That's where my pennies go. And
hang on a second. Yes, we can say Jones without getting an explicit tag. Just checking.
Beep. No, in fact, I'll be doing the original art display art show this year. I won't be sitting at the table. My good buddy Andrew Allen will be there with some friends. But it's going to be my art up on the walls to display. So that's been where my nickels and dimes and pennies and thousands of dollars have been going. And I will say the art show has been very popular, and I'm hoping it will continue so. And I'm certainly going to put up some stuff that comic fans will absolutely recognize and probably drool over and know it's not for sale. But in addition, I can tell you that right now, because everybody always says, "Oh, is that going to be the auction?" No, it's not going to be the auction. I really want to buy that. No, you ain't going to be able to buy. Oh, I want to buy that. No, I ain't. So,
so don't ask.
So don't ask.
Money for the auction.
Just save us both the pain, you know. I'll offer you half of what you paid for it. Hey, that's really swell. What a pal. No. But I'm also going to, I've happened to the past year or two, since the last time I did the art auction, I've happened across some kind of what you might call Platinum Age stuff. Just for some reason, I don't know why. Some more illustration stuff from, say, the 1890s, 1900s, teens, 20s, into the 30s. And I'm going to be posting that up on the art display boards as well. Probably folks they may not recognize a lot of names from those. Thomas Mitchell Pierce, Casper Emerson, William Mariner. You got to be pretty hardcore comic fan or illustrative art fan before you start to recognize those names. But the talent is just outstanding. You will not believe it. And again, maybe it's it's going to be there not just for the fans to take a look at, but I would like the creators to take a look and say, "Wow, look at the line work that guy did back in 1910." And I'm hoping it'll be kind of a not just an enjoyable thing, but maybe even a bit, dare I say the word, educational.
Dare.
To quote Blazing Saddles. So yeah, no, my Jones is original art. That's if I get a break from the admissions table, soliciting for artwork for the charity auction, running the charity auction, doing podcasts and interviews. If I get a break, I'll go around and see what kind of artwork people have.
Well, cool.
if I get a break.
Now, one of the things that we do on this here show, Joe, please explain to the guest Freaking and Geeking.
Well, Freaking is where we talk about things that got us torqued off. And I don't know if we want to limit it to comics, but we pretty much cover the gamut of stuff. geeking, as we want to leave on a positive note, has to do with things that we're actually genuinely excited about.
Yes.
And what I would like to do for Joe and I,
Okay.
we're going to limit ourselves, but you can talk about anything. Joe and I are just going to talk about things we are freaking and geeking about SpringCon.
Okay.
Oh, shit, there was that. So might as well get rid of that. That. Good thing I got a shredder nearby. All right, I'm ready.
Good.
So, Joe?
Been disposed of. Excellent.
What are you freaking on, Joe?
I know, despite going to the website, which is, go ahead, drop it, Mike.
www.mcbacomicons.com, and it's plural because we are one of the, I think, the only organization that does 2 shows a year.
Because we're crazy.
Because we're crazy.
I know, despite going over and looking at the guest creators and looking at the dealer list, I am not going to get a chance to look at everything I want to. There's times I'll go and look at last year's list and go, oh, XX creator was there, and I never got to him. I know I won't have time to take the pictures I want. I mean, for a while, that was the only thing I did. I ran around, make sure I got pictures of everybody, and I just can't do it. And I think last year we had 3 people taking pictures, and I know there's things we didn't get pictures of. I've only got $500 to spend. I want to spend more. I mean, I go when I get to the con and I'll see a creator, and it's somebody that I've never seen before, or even somebody that I've seen, and they have something that I'd like to try. I just don't have the money to do it. I want to have money to outbid Frigon on artwork or Big Eddie. Oh, man, I really got to pick and choose stuff that I want. And I apologize to any 10-year-olds I may have hurt in the process.
It's all right. I do encourage to crush those 10-year-old girls' dreams. That's all right, yeah.
There are people that I won't see that I'll go, hey, I was at con, and how come I didn't see you? And I'm like, it's getting that big where it used to be I'd see everybody that come by. And, I mean, I've seen people from my comic shop. I see people from work. By the way, I'm officially off work on vacation, so you can mention you saw me there. Usually when I'm doing types of shenanigans like that, I have to, don't mention me. I'm officially sick. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Again, I will be probably, when I'm not out getting gas, at the...
Which will be
near the show? Yeah, pretty much. I'm out of here. Going to get gas. Just tell that to Mike Edmondson. Yeah, Joe stopped by. He said he's going to get gas. I'm surprised. I'll be helping my daughter set up the charity booth, hanging by to help them. So if you think you're going to pull a fast one on him, Daddy's right next to him. And of course, I'll be working with Corey, and we've got a mobile recorder. So if you're a creator and you'd like to be interviewed, but you can't break away and come to our booth and do a quick interview, we'll come to you. Just give us the contact information or let us know ahead of time. Corey, you want to drop off best way to get a hold of us?
Best way to get a hold of us is to use our Gmail account, and that's Solitaire Rose Network @gmail.com. If you go to the webpage of crazycomicswithanx.solitairerose.com, there's our email right there. You see it down at the bottom? See it?
Hey, I do.
I see it.
And we'll be there. You could also just come on by. And you could say, look, I don't have time to talk to you, but if you come over to the table while I'm doing sketches, I could talk then. We are going to be set up. I don't even know how many podcasts we're going to get out of this thing. At FallCon, I think we got 4, and that was with bad audio and not knowing what the hell we were doing.
So this will be kind of a cross between Candid Camera and Man on the Street.
Pretty much.
No, this will be Word Balloon done right.
Oh, okay.
That's right, John Suntritz. In your face.
Which one of you guys is Walter Winchell?
That's what I'm freaking on.
Now that's an obscure reference. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all the ships at sea.
When I say old school, I mean geriatric.
Corey, should I throw it to you, or should we throw it to the guests?
We throw it to the guest, and then the guest throws it to me.
What am I freaking on?
What are you freaking on?
Well,
that's deep.
Where do I start? Do we start with Zack Snyder?
Sure.
Join the club.
Do we start with Batman versus Superman? Do we start with the whole DC freaking movie universe? Do we start with do we start with summer crossovers? Can we stop that any time now, please? They don't make sense. They're all forced. We all know it. Can we just not do that anymore? Where do we start? Just to backtrack for Zack Snyder for a sec. Did you guys happen to see the story that crossed the pages today? Not today, but this week about Jerry Conway responding to Zack Snyder?
No.
I have not read it yet. I've seen
I think
it.
I did. Wasn't it 2 words?
It was 2 words. A very choice 2 words. Apparently there was an interview from a few years ago that surfaced where Zack Snyder was saying that something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing here, that some friends of his tried to get him into comics back in the day, and he went, oh yeah, how boring, no one gets killed, no one gets raped, blah, blah, blah. And then someone introduced him to Watchmen, he's like, oh yeah, cool, all kinds of people get killed here, this is what I want to see, it's great. And then he got into it, and then he said something about, to the effect that, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy was so dark. Bruce Wayne's parents die. He goes off to a Tibetan monastery. He gets trained by ninjas. Yeah, that's real dark. He said something to the effect of if I was doing that movie trilogy, I would have had him get thrown in prison and get raped. Then we're talking dark. And Jerry Conway had a shall we say, a 2-word review to reference Spinal Tap, responding to Zack Snyder's thoughts and feelings on how he would have handled that sort of situation. So, yeah, we've had Jerry here as a guest. I'm very pleased to say I've met him and I've chatted with him, and I think he's very peripherally but a very friendly guy, and I hope that he would say the same to me. And I have to say I'd fall with Jerry on that one. Yeah. Hey, Zach? I don't think so. Move on, buddy. I know. Maybe he can direct the new My Little Pony movie where, Sparkle gets, sent to the glue factory and, it'll be great for kids. Yeah, there you go.
Now you get to throw it to Corey by asking.
I'm sorry. Corey, go for it, buddy.
I am freaking on the fact that I've set the bar high. We're dropping 5 podcasts in 2 weeks about this convention. We are going to be live streaming. I still haven't got the sound to work, and my technical engineer is not returning my calls. I've got a lot of extra shifts at the group home this week because I'm stupid and like money and want to have the money to spend like Joe does. So I'm looking at going into this convention. And you remember the guy in Airplane who at the beginning of the movie said, looks like I picked the wrong week to stop drinking.
Lloyd Bridges.
And later in the movie, looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the wrong week for me to quit sniffing glue laced with heroin and cocaine at the same time.
Wow, okay.
I know that when it's done, it will be successful. But, boy, this sure feels like I am barreling down the tracks and the brakes aren't working, and there's a whole lot of dynamite in the back. For those of you who want to watch, this is going to be fun.
Well, there's something, after like 48 hours consecutively without sleep, or 72 hours, or there's some point where if you don't sleep, you become technically psychotic.
Yes.
Go for it.
I'm looking to be Apu's record. Leading up to the convention...
A psychotic Corey is just boggles the imagination. I really want to see that up to a point.
No one will notice the difference. The other thing that I'm kind of freaking on is there are so many amazing guests there who are going to have so many great stories. I want to sit down and talk to Trina Robbins for an hour. I want to sit down and talk to Steve Lealoa for an hour. I want to sit down and talk to these people. Just, let's get an hour on the podcast. And there's no way. There's not enough time. and we've got amazing guests with great stories. I'm kind of overwhelmed by the fact that, I would love to just do what the Panels and Pizza guy's doing. He's going to have pizza upstairs and, all right, next, come on, sit down. Let's talk. There's so much comic book history that's going to be there.
Brian Augustine.
Brian Augustine's going to have tons of history.
That guy has boatloads of stories, and he's a sharp guy, very nice guy, and has loads of stories and knowledge and history and inside scoops. Brian, I was fortunate enough to have dinner with him during my spring break, and gave him his tickets and everything, and he's a character. He's great.
And a couple weeks ago, I interviewed Paul Fricke.
Yep.
We didn't just talk about Troll Lords. We didn't just talk about the stuff he's doing now. We talked about his career and how he very early on planned a career rather than, I'm just going to draw funny books. Yeah. No, he was very thoughtful about it. He was very planful about it. And we're going to have people who are like that. We're going to have people who are doing all sorts of aspects. We're going to have small press people who are doing it all themselves. We're having people who are doing mini comics, web comics, paintings, and major art pieces all at the same time. They're all going to be there. This is going to be overwhelming in a lot of ways.
Speaking of Paul Fricke, one thing you might want to just make a note of, and I cannot confirm this, but when I floated the idea of a 30th anniversary Troll Lords get-together to Paul, Len Straczewski, Scott Bieterstedt, and Brian, they were all very much in favor of it, and at the time, Paul, Len, and Scott were right next to each other at one of our conventions, and Scott leaned over behind Len and said, "Hey, we got a panel. Should we do our juggling act?" And Paul got this big grin in his face, and I said, "Seriously?" And Scott looked at me with this kind of wonder look and said, "Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah." So I have been reminding them that since they have set the table for their 30th anniversary Troll Lords panel, they've promised a juggling act. So there you go.
Joe, what are you geeking on?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days till MSP ComiCon, formerly known as SpringCon.
Yeah.
It's still SpringCon in our heart.
I know, but
because I named it that.
It was.
Yeah, don't go there. It's probably.
And I'm also the one who named it the MCBA.
If we've got another hour or two to talk about Hurt for Corey, we can, but we want to end on positive note.
Okay.
By the way, for this part of the podcast, if you're at home listening, put on the song "Hurt" by 9 Inch Nails, as sung by Johnny Cash.
I was going to say the Johnny Cash version, yes.
And there you go. Just listen to that in the background. And that's what's my mindset.
Yep.
So okay.
Yep. My mindset is celebrate, party time.
It is going to be party time.
I've got the week off, as I said, officially from work. I'm tearing the house apart, looking for stuff because I'm not. We're looking to fill up the charity table, and I already know it's full, but I want it overfull. I'll be there Thursday with my daughter setting up. I'll start setting up the table then. Of course, Friday, the dealers show up, and one of the perks of volunteering is that you get to see the dealers as they come in. And some actually, some show up, cover their stuff, and leave. Some actually realize there's a little bit of commerce to be made there. And then, of course, Saturday, Sunday is the day. I think Monday the 16th, I plan to just collapse. So
I'll be entertaining some of the guests and showing them around town. I don't have that luxury.
Oh, it's going to be a fun time. And again, www.mcbacomicons.com. Plan your attack. There's a lot of good advice there, especially just to figure out things. We talk about it at the podcast a lot. Bring a bag, bring cash. There will be an ATM there.
Yep.
Some of the more savvy dealers will take credit cards, especially now that you can tap them into your cell phone.
Yep.
I'll actually have a setup for that for the charity booth. So hopefully we won't be so deep inside the grandstand. I think we can get a decent phone signal throughout. Don't be an asshole and expect the first person that you want to buy a $4 comic from to break your $100 bills. Break them down into 20s, things like that.
Bring something that's dealer friendly, some cash that's dealer friendly.
Oh yeah.
Check out the panels. Make sure you plan out the panels. Make sure if you've got kids with you, check out the kids activities, and if there's one that you want to see, make sure that you go to it. Don't get left out because you get so swept up in the convention that it's 3:30 and I missed that 2:00 convention.
If you got yourself one of them cards in the mail, if you've learned it over, it says bring this card to the show to use it to enter our free door prize drawings.
Yep.
And if you didn't get one, fill out one when you're there. As a matter of fact, is the prize right on the other side of the admission desk?
Yes.
All right.
It's just going to be across it's going to be across from where you come in. So we don't have that wall anymore or that wedge that we've actually got lines that are just straight through. And the prize table is going to be on the other side of the walkway right across from where you walk in at the main entrance.
So lots of good
just
stuff.
Facilitates people walking in easier. Give them a straight line rather than a funky angle. Yeah.
Corey always talks about bringing hand sanitizer, avoids the ComiCon crud. Jen always talks about bathing, which I don't encourage because I figure if I've got a big old heart, I'm digging through them good deal booths.
Suddenly it's Stalag 17, but there will be delousing with ice water from the hoses. Yeah, nice.
So, yeah, I'm looking for it. It'd be a good time. And are you doing wristbands this year?
Wristbands, yep.
So when you get it, keep it in good shape because it'll let you in the second day.
Yep.
So
again, I had somebody come up to me last spring show and say just a one-day admission, and I said, no, our admission is good for both days. We don't do a one-day admission. And she looked at me and she said, and it's just this much? And I said, right. And she goes, well, this is a deal. Yes, it is.
Not to steal any thunder, but Mike, what are you geeking on?
Since I'm not limited to the convention, which I am geeking on, I don't want to duplicate you. I'm going to say that my girlfriend and I happened to see Civil War on Friday on opening day, and wow, blew me away. Fantastic. A couple of tiny little plot things. I kind of went, huh? But I agree with the reviewer that said, man, with this many characters, this thing could have been a hot smoking mess, and it wasn't. Great story, fun effects. Everybody's motivations seemed, from a plot perspective, very plausible. And I thought it was a great flick. Probably we'll have to go and see it a few more times.
Was your mother's name Martha?
Nope.
Okay, just checking.
That's okay. Corey, what do you think?
First thing I'm geeking on for the convention is that an artist who I've known for a while through the interwebs, Buzz, who's not been to our convention, by the way. We need to change that.
I know.
Went to a local convention that shall not be named because they're weasels.
That's true.
And he saw an exhibitor there who was selling nice big prints of other people's art, unlicensed. Mm-hmm. And rather than what most people do at conventions, which is grumble to themselves and lean over to the artist next to him, oh, look at that son of a bitch, I can't believe how's he able to get away with that? Or, go to the after party and go, did you see that jerk? Or go back to their studio and draw, the bastards taking food out of the mouths of the artists. Nope, he got in the guy's face.
Yeah.
And he did not let up. He went on the internet, posted pictures of the guy, explained what he did, explained how he was ripping off artists,
mm-hmm.
and shamed him the hell out of the show.
I thought that was great.
And we need more of that.
Yeah.
Now, at our convention, I have never seen that sort of thing.
No.
But at bigger conventions, and I've read about this for years, where you get these scumbag dealers who will make, they'll make prints of other people's art and sell it as, here's a print of Michael Golden art.
Yeah.
Michael Golden's not getting jack or shit from it because they just took a cover and blew it up
mm-hmm.
and are selling it for $50, $60. I like that the artists are taking a stand, and I hope the conventions are going to start taking a stand. If these artists aren't making money, they're not going to work in comics. They're not going to draw this stuff. They're going to go, they're going to get jobs in advertising, they're going to get jobs in commercial art, and we want to keep them here because we want to see their stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So thank you, Buzz, and thank you for the people who supported him in driving this scum-sucking weasel right out the door.
Yeah. You could do a whole podcast on the whole that whole sort of thing where it's being appropriated as fair use, or it's not intellectual property, or it's fan art. That's what it is.
I'm supporting them.
Or it's it's Liechtenstein, or it's this last year there was some artist who was basically taking people's photos from Instagram and Twitter and blowing them up and selling them as his own art. It's just ridiculous. It's nonsense.
The second thing I'm geeking on at the convention, I've been saying for weeks, this is a family reunion. This is the big family reunion, and over the last few years, it's gotten a little more special each time. Last year, one of my best friends in the whole known universe showed up at the convention, liked it so much she moved here. But
who is that?
That's a preview of what's coming up on Thursday, kids. You have never heard so much jealousy in your life in one sentence. Right there. But the geek in me cannot wait to get to the bargain tables. Cannot wait to get to see people selling omnibuses for like 20% of the cover price. To dig through those long boxes of trade paperbacks that people are selling for 50, 60, 75% off. To find stuff that I didn't even know was ever collected in a trade. This is where I get my stack of reading for the summer. And I have a list of the things I'm looking for, of course. But I'm never going to ever limit myself to that list.
Oh.
Except when it comes to the essentials, because I've got all of them except the ones that are on the list.
When opportunity walks up and punches you in the face, you probably should pay attention.
Damn straight. I am so looking forward to that end of it.
And if someone else punches you in the face, you probably shouldn't ignore that either.
Yeah, if somebody else punches me in the face, well, let's just say I have a friend named Big Eddie.
and Butch.
And a friend named Butch.
and
Joe will run and go get help.
And you're going to be on 148 hours of no sleep. And you're more than technically psychotic at that point.
And not only that, I'll have a hair trigger because let's just say, ladies and gentlemen, there are explosive elements going to be at this con. And if you want, bring popcorn.
The Bennies and Jolt Cola are really going to be swatting at your head.
No. There's stuff. Anyway, but I am loading up on the cheap reads. And that's always my favorite part, is coming home, and the episode we do after the con is, what'd you get? And we've got, we're going to have stories of people we talk to. We're going to have the endless hours of podcast. The whole damn thing's going to be on YouTube for the rest of our natural lives.
Or unnatural, depending on the case.
But I am going to be set for summer. I've got a deck, I've got cold beverages, and I've got good music. After this convention, it's chill time.
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, kids.
And I don't.
You've listened to us blather on about funny books.
I've been there. You do, too.
Oh, all right.
You've listened to us blather on about funny books for an hour and a half.
Thank you.
And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
I'm a frustrated actor. My goal is to beat Alfred Hitchcock in the number of cameos. I'm going to try to break his record. Stan Lee. Mike, this is where you say, hit my music.
Hit my music.